What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm posting this video whether it's good or not. That's part of it. But recently we've been so busy at the shop and at the shop at my house now, taking on some custom fab work. I'm learning. People are wanting their stuff done by me, which is really cool because it helps me get better, and obviously I'm trying to get better, so it all works out. But anyways, if you guys don't know by now, which you already should, but Kevin and I do the flashlight shootout presented by Van Boris Bros, us, and we've been keeping it local for the last couple years. So this year we've never done a no prep version, and so this one is flashlight shootout no prep version, volume 1. So we're gonna see how that works out. And I've said in videos before, but if you're new to the channel, or maybe it's been a while, I never really post times if we do run at the local track because we're at 3,500 elevation, sometimes 5,000 to 6,000 DA, especially now in the hot summertime. So our air is never good, the times are never good, and our track is an old bracket track. It's meant for slicks. It's more just like fun to go out, be competitive, and it's actually really tricky to get down this track because it's an old bracket track. It's got some transitions in it. It's got cracks where sometimes water seeps through. So it's very interesting to get down that track, very tricky. Anyways, since it being a no prep, oh lady, I hate when people are in the middle of the pullout and I have a trailer and so they just take up the whole fucking lane. Jeez. Anyways, people, idiots. Anyways, so I decided, man, let's take Nick's car out. I had Nick's car already, and he's working. He can't make it. I was like, dude, let's try this no prep thing. I've never technically no prepped. However, our track, even when it's prepped, it's kind of like a no prep. So, I don't know. I decided, I think I showed you, I scaled the car last night, or if not, I'll show you here. Scaled the car, decided it really needed like 280 pounds to get the bias right, but added about 180, maybe 150, and placed a lot of it over the rear axle, made some not so nice pieces. I mean, they don't look the best, but they work for the weekend because it's kind of a temporary thing. So added about 100 pounds right over the axle, and then like another probably 50, 60 total behind the axle, maybe. We'll see. And yeah, it's really about power management and getting some weight on the rear. So obviously pretty common. Gonna loosen up the front shocks, try and slam some power through the rear, and then try and throw the power through the middle and the top. The tricky thing about Amarillo is sometimes you can get it to leave, but it's like right after the 60 foot, I don't know, somewhere around there, maybe 100, 200 foot, there's a nasty transition in the left side, and it's hard to get power through there. But you got to get power in early because it's only 8th mile racing. So it's going to be tricky. There's some people coming out. We're going to run True Street with Nick's car. It fits in the True Street class. It doesn't fit the daily because it has a Turbo 400, which is totally fine. We keep the daily for overdrive stuff, which I think is good. And so yeah, we're going to give it a shot. We might look like idiots out there, but regardless, it's going to be fun. Update, we sucked at no prep last night. Actually, first pass was really slow. Second pass, we started getting faster. And then we had a third pass. It was actually getting really decent for no prep. However, we went into first round eliminations and we embarrassed ourselves and blew the tire off the bead on the inside of both wheels. So I think we tried to drop the pressure a little too low, and the track started coming around a lot because a lot of people were putting rubber down. It just got too sticky and literally pulled the bead off both insides of the rear tires. So we were out first round. But round 2 coming up today, we're going to try that. Well, guys, yesterday didn't go as planned. Slightly embarrassing too, but hey, that's part of racing. And this is why some people give up or don't go to the track, because they don't want to look slow. I mean, we were slow yesterday. I really didn't have any idea where to really start from. I really started way too soft. And then, well, let's start back from the beginning. So the first pass had some like brake pressure issue. So couldn't do a good burnout. So I knew it wasn't going to go well. And I had a super soft ramp in it, really low RPM. Side note, Nick's turbos are very large for a twin setup for a Coyote for a small motor. So it's really meant to make big power, but the problem is when you turn his car down, it really struggles because you can't keep the turbos lit. And so to keep the turbos lit, they need a lot of RPM, but I was trying not to give it a lot of RPM because I didn't want to strike the tires. However, I got to remember, and I always forget, it's on a slick, so you can hit them a little harder, and they want wheel speed. So that's kind of my fault. And then the burnout thing, it was just being weird. So the next pass, I knew, I was like, all right, I got to start bumping up the RPM because I know I've tried this before and it never works. So I was like, okay, I got to get back up on the RPM, bring the ramp in a little bit faster, and then get a good burnout and finally get some good data. So did a good burnout, got some data. Obviously it left way too soft again. It needed a lot more RPM once again. And then through the middle, it just, once the power really comes in, it just starts, skating all over the place. And I don't have a good feeling yet on the slicks on like where I can keep giving input. So also the other problem with having bigger twin turbos is the transient throttle response, like the off and on throttle response is really bad. So if you get out of the gas, you're pretty much screwed because those turbos ain't lighting back up, and by the time they do, it's already over because it's only 8th mile race. So that was one thing I had to keep in mind on the next pass. So we got another test pass, good burnout, car left a little faster, picked up a 10th on the 60 foot, a little over a 10th on the 60 foot, and then picked up like 2/10 through the middle. And then once again, I stayed in it a little longer, and then I did slightly lift on one spot, and then same thing, I tried to get back into it. It just kills the mile an hour because, like I said, the turbos are too big. So go up for first round, pull a twin turbo F body. He does a lot of this type of racing, so he was, he got down. I saw his pass. He made a good pass. There's no way we're gonna beat him. He actually went to the finals, so against Jonathan Bailey. So that was cool. But anyways, I did a burnout. We added some more weight, and I dropped the tire pressure like 2 more pounds, and I knew I shouldn't have. It was like a last minute thing. Someone had a nitrous backfire, and so we're sitting in the lanes for like an extra hour, and I just second guessed myself, and I was like, man, maybe we should drop the tire pressure. Bad idea, made a bad call, did a massive burnout. Nick doesn't have double bead locks, it's just a single bead lock, so the inside bead on each tire popped off at the same time through the burnout. Super embarrassing. I look like an idiot, and people probably think we're idiots and we don't know what we're doing. That's just part of racing, but you don't know if you don't try. So we're back for day 2. That was True Street last night. Jonathan Bailey, twin turbo S197. He does a lot of this type of racing. He figured out the surface. Dude was flying for that class. And then we actually had Casey Max, the Firebird, come out, and he lost in the finals actually to Chase Womack in the small tire. That was crazy to watch. I'll put a video. Those dudes were flying. I don't know if I'd want to go that fast at this track. This track is sketchy. So yeah, today's day 2, and we have roll racing, which we're not. I did roll racing in Nick's car last time. I wish I would have filmed it. It was really cool. But we won roll racing against a Turbo Busa last time. This time we're still on the slicks for the 530 class, so I'm not going to do roll racing because I would probably die with the slick. So we're going to sit out the roll racing, and we're going to do the 530 class, and we're going to see how it goes. We might look like idiots for round 2.
Put your hands together for those fireworks.
All right, guys, I said I was going to post this video no matter what happened, and I'm actually not too mad about it or upset. We definitely learned some things with the no prep. It was really cool. The track definitely started to come around, obviously, as more rubber got down, but I started to pick up on a few things as we went through the weekend, and then unfortunately on the first round of eliminations on the Saturday class, Nick's trans finally went to heaven. So the good thing is, and I think I want to make a video on this, is Nick's car, I think I looked at it earlier, we put the trans in this, I want to say 3 years ago, or it was like 3.5 years ago. That is the cool thing about Turbo 400s, is they last a long time. Now, yours might last shorter or longer, depending on how you beat on it, but Nick's has a lot of street driven miles and a lot of racing on it. So we probably should have refreshed it last year. I actually remember saying something to Nick sometime last year, like, hey, just so you know, at some point this trans is gonna have to be refreshed. It's been there a long time. We did a few fluid changes, but man, these Turbo 400s, definitely the way to go. So I'm not too mad about that at all, because they're actually really inexpensive to refresh, and we'll have it back in a week or two. So that's what happened on the last round. We actually would have won that round. It was actually decently close, but we just had no power. You can hear just banging off the rev limiter, and the trans was cooked. So we picked up almost 3/10 in the 60-foot over the weekend between, I think, 5 total passes or 4 total passes. So we picked up a lot there. We never picked up, the mile an hour was kind of all over the place, and that's because the trans was already starting to give way. I didn't catch onto that till later in the weekend, but it was really cool trying to figure out where to place the weight. So we actually ended up pulling off 25 pounds from the driver's side because the car kept going left. And I was like, man, this is weird. And I was about to have Jay line me up, pointed to the right, and I thought about it for just a split second. I was like, oh, let's just pull 25 pounds off the left side and see if that evens it out. So we pulled the 25 pounds off the left side, and that thing went straight down the track as an arrow. Obviously with slicks, it gets kind of a little, not flighty, but it kind of moves around a little bit up top. That's just how slicks are, but I was able to go through it. So it was really cool. I think we're going to start doing some more no prep with Nick's car. There's just a lot more of it in our area, like within 2 to 4 hours, versus if you want to go do radial stuff, we got to drive 6+ hours all the time. So maybe we'll get a second set of wheels for Nick, and then we can just keep the slicks on one set and the radials on another set, and then everything else is pretty close. I mean, his stator and suspension, like it actually works. It's kind of like in between. Obviously, if you want to go faster on one end or the other, you should probably switch setups completely, but he has a really good setup to kind of do both pretty decently. So that's it on the weekend. If you guys came out to the Flashlight Shootout, thank you very much for helping. Thanks to everybody, Johnny and Jay, for helping crew with the car all weekend. But it was fun driving Nick's. It's always a good time when you get to race a car, even if it's slow. No prep is definitely a lot more challenging, but the IRS seems to work pretty decently with, we don't have anything crazy on there. So that was really cool. But that's going to do it for today's video. I was going to post it regardless. And like I said, we looked like idiots. The first night we blew the beads off the inside of the tires. Everyone thought we were idiots, which we are sometimes. But we got the tires remounted that same night. Car fired right back up and went back at it Saturday. And so hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know the car looks slow, but it's no prep. So we'll see you guys on the next one.